Now, Manchester Camerata are one of the UK's top symphony orchestras. Their day job usually involves playing Mozart or Beethoven symphonies, but they've taken on a new role, helping to tackle dementia.
Yeah, it's an innovative idea. They've been given more than £1 million to work with the Alzheimer's Society to deliver music cafes and therapy sessions to more than 1,000 people living with dementia across the Greater Manchester City region, as Juliet Phillips reports.
Music as a form of medicine. This workshop at Gorton Monastery sees people with dementia and their carers playing alongside musicians from Manchester's Camerata Orchestra. For John and his daughter Jo, it's the highlight of their week.
Have a try on the drums.
You've had a good try on the drums, yeah?
Yeah. But I can only play them loud.
I know you can, yeah. You don't like the bells, do you? When it goes to the bells, you're a bit, what are these? What do we do here with the bells? You want the drums?
Oh, you've got to give it some welly on the drums,
relax,
haven't you?
Yeah. You like welly in it, don't you? Yeah.
It's good.
So no, we have a good time and puts you in a good mood, doesn't it?
More workshops like this one will be rolled out across Greater Manchester, thanks to a £1 million funding boost. Amina, who runs these sessions, has seen the difference music can make.
People arrive at the sessions and they might have had a bad night or a bad few days, and they come because their carers or their family members know that they love it when they get here. And then by the end of the session, they seem like quite different people. They're much more themselves, much more in tune with how they're feeling and like lifted spirits.
The new funding will also support the Alzheimer's Society's Singing for the Brain programme. An army of 300 community volunteers will be recruited to support the rollout of this mammoth musical project.
You just have to have an interest in music, be a people person, want to make a difference for people with dementia and carers, and just want to come along and have a fantastic experience in a singing group where people just sort of become alive and animated in that situation. So rewarding to see, and we want people who would really love to do that sort of thing.
It's hoped in the long term the model will be scaled up and rolled out across the UK. For Colette, the impact these sessions are having on her father-in-law Alan is already clear to see.
It's difficult to pinpoint one thing that makes it so worthwhile, but it's definitely something that enhances his life.
That was Juliet Phillips in Manchester. Joining me now is Amina Hussain, who you just saw in the piece there, and also Professor John McAuliffe, who's head of Creative Manchester, and who'll be researching how the project benefits those with dementia. Thank you to both of you for coming in to talk about such a great project. Amina, just take us through exactly what goes on when you take one of those sessions and the response you get from the people that are there and taking part.
Oh, it's such a lovely experience. We actually don't know what we're going to do in that hour, except a hello song and a goodbye song. So we have the beginning and we have the end, and what happens in that hour is totally led by the people that are joining in the group. So we use improvisation, which is not jazz-based or anything, which is what people might think improvisation is. But we improvise with instruments. We all do it together. All the participants use instruments, or they might vocalise, or they might sing. And we just basically journey together. We just find a way to make music together in a way that suits everyone at the same time. It's a really lovely experience.
And Professor McAuliffe, what benefits, I mean, I know you've looked at things like this in the past. I mean, what kind of benefits does music bring to people who are living with dementia?
Well, it's my colleague, Professor John Keady, who's a professor of mental health and older people, who's done amazing work with Camerata for many years now. And John actually started off as a nurse himself in the old asylum system, and he was able to see, he said, immediately as he began work, the difference that music and that kind of dialogue that happens when you're working with people on the wards. So he's taken that experience into the Music in Mind cafes. And he's able to look at how it offers both relief and kind of restores people to their sense of self when they're involved in this. And it's just the improvisation bit, the fact that because I've attended the workshops myself and I see the amazing way in which people just come to life when they might be banging on a tambourine or just getting involved with professional musicians who work with them.
And just out of interest, I mean, the way you describe it, it's almost a psychological lift that people get rather than some kind of medical benefits, probably the wrong phrase, but do you know what I mean?
The medical benefits are there evidence now, you know. There are 940,000 people who are suffering from dementia at the moment, and that number is rising all the time. And what we see with these interventions is a reduction in GP visits. We see a reduction in hospital visits. And what we'll see over the next 3 years as this project looks at the 10 boroughs of Manchester. We've got data sets at the university where we'll be able to see how in these neighbourhoods where this activity is happening, can we just track the reduction in GP visits? Can we track the ways in which neighbourhoods and the music champions trained by Camerata, that their interventions mean people won't be relying on the health service? There's a £34 billion spend at the moment on dementia care in the UK. So it's really important that we're able to kind of get in earlier and be able to work with people who have dementia in their own communities.
And Amina, is this something that you've seen firsthand, the real-time practical benefits of something as simple as it might sound of an hour-long improvisation class?
Yeah, very much so. You know, we can turn up to our sessions every week, and, you know, there'll be people that will come to those sessions regularly who, you know, may have had a really bad night or a really hard time for that week for some reason, maybe due to their ill health or due to something, lack of sleep, maybe even as simple as that. And they can come to our sessions and they, again, like you said earlier, you know, they can reconnect with their sense of self during that session. So on the ground, we see a lot of changes within those sessions, but also long term, you know, when we're spending week in, week out with people, we see the sort of ripple effect of that, you know, and we get reports back of what's happening after the session is finished, long after. So the days afterwards, you know, that somebody might have found it easier to get their loved one to breakfast or to get them to bed and to sleep at night. And then, you know, also people ask for, when's the next music session? Are we going to music today? And, you know, that kind of motivation that's put back into people, reconnecting with that is such a crucial thing for people to feel heard and validated and, you know, part of society. And it's really, really important that we provide that situation where people feel like they're wanted in society. You know, that's really important.
I just wonder if there's, and again, I'm probably going away from your areas of expertise, but whether there is something in the brain that music does that can be measured. I don't know, because it'd be amazing to think that
there definitely is. And again, I suppose there's a lot of research going on at various universities and at Manchester, which is able to look at the effect on different parts of the brain, that playing music. And I suppose that's the important thing about this, is that you have people who are actually, because language changes, our relation to language changes with dementia, but music allows us to connect and communicate in a way which is parallel to and different to how we might have communicated when we had full control of that language access of our brains.
So just take us through the next 3 years then, the study, the going forward, and how those results are going to be used.
So there are going to be sessions every week in the 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester. So there's going to be a really big expansion of the programme with the Alzheimer's Society as well as with Manchester Camerata using this Power of Music Centre. And then there will be 2 health economists at the University of Manchester, Luke Munford and Paul Wilson. And they'll be working with the existing data sets of all of those people and their relationships with the NHS and seeing over those 3 years what impact it has in terms of the amount of contact that they need with services. And as the study progresses, we'll be hoping that we're going to be able to scale this up nationally.
That was going to be the next question, because the Alzheimer's Society are involved. Is that their aim to...
It is absolutely their aim, you know, and Greater Manchester has a creative health strategy, so there's a lot of great support for it, kind of at a civic, a kind of local authority level. So Manchester is a great place for this to be happening. But we, of course, have great colleagues at other kind of local authorities all across the country, and they're going to be looking to see that the evidence we produce can support their decision-making to get behind projects like this in future too.
Yeah, and you see lots of smiles, Amina, don't you, every day when you do it? It's
lots
great.
of smiles, some tears as well, and that's from us, you know, because it's such a joyous situation, and, you know, it's not an easy life, you know, supporting someone with dementia or any other sort of life-changing illness. But, you know, we're so excited at this point because we are a centre of excellence now for the next 3 years. That's our title, which is incredible. And it hasn't happened before. It's the first time in the UK. It's the first time an orchestra's done something like this. So it's really amazing that, you know, we're really keen to make social change and to be seen differently. We are for the people. You know, we're here for the people who are out there. So
thank you both.
Were you going to...
No, I wasn't. We're both being very polite. You go.
Well, I was going to say, Amina, Hussain and Professor John McAuliffe, thank you so much for talking to us. It's a really positive story. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Should we catch up?